Assalamualaikum and very good afternoon to the class. So how are you today? So okay, our slide presentation for exercise rehab today will be on chapter 7. So I'm going to talk about general principles of exercise prescription. Okay, all right. So general principle of exercise prescriptions. The main objective is try to design to meet the individual health and physical fitness goals. So I stress on this many times about the importance as a trainers to guide your clients or your patients towards directive uh, the outcome or the target goals of your client, not your outcome. Okay, what I try to say here, you should planning the exercise and helping them to achieve their goals. Okay. Number two is, of course, must be based on application of scientific evidence. There is a very clear the difference between you guys, which is a degree in sports science, where the focus should not implement any pseudoscience. It should focus on scientific evidence base to ensure that all the exercise prescription is safety and effective. Okay. Number three, intended as a guideline for people to do exercise. Okay. All right. Let's move to the next slide. Okay. What are the basic components for the exercise prescriptions that you have to address on? We don't talk much about nutrition and so on because we are not nutritionists or anything related to ultrasounds. We need to know, but that is not our main practice. The main practice here, we need to address the physical fitness components. So that is your job. I always say that do not go beyond that. You can link as a complementary knowledge, but do not go beyond that. So that's why the core business of our profession is try to address physical fitness component as our practice. First is cardiovascular fitness. So you all know that muscular strength and endurance, talking about the muscle hypertrophy, and also how can we improve the endurance of the muscles, flexibility of muscles and joint, body composition, which is what is the best ideal body weight, referring to BMI or waist hip ratio, body fat mass, and so on. Neuromuscular fitness. This is talking about how to associate exercise to improve balance and agility. And last one is the bone health. So definitely exercise that you do will improve the bone density and also bone strength because of it's all about exercise is all about joint loading. You give a normal impact to the bone so the bone can grow and stronger, because if you have poor bone density, so the chance to have bone fracture or bone osteoarthritis will be higher. So that's why that is what your core business as exercise science or exercise practitioners. That's the best way that I can say here. So do not talk much, okay? Or what I mean here, do not telling something that go beyond than normal practice of your area. You can talk about food or nutrition, but more talking nutrition related to energy system, which is that is what we encourage you to do. Instead of you talking about a lot of how many intakes, how many grams, and so on, which is I think that is not the scope of your practice. Okay. Oh, all right. So I think we have covered this. When determining exercise programming, so you need to consider individual goals, which is your client goals, ability of the persons or ability of the individuals that you want to train. Uh, Even though you have siblings, but the ability between your siblings and you are not the same. So just imagine to the other person that you never met before. So meaning that their ability will not the same between you beginners or advanced or some athlete versus normal people's, men versus women. So So you need to consider the differences. So the ability between the physical ability between this, you need to consider before you determine the exercise program of your client. The health status also play a significant role here. Remember, if you train someone who are recreational, considered like recreational athletes, they train like an athlete, but we call it recreational because they don't go for competition. You cannot, you know, you cannot make it. They are the same with a very novice person who have never do exercise before, or someone who are very sedentary. They're working in the office. They carry a lot of work stress, like meetings, multiple meetings, and they sitting down in a chair. They very sedentary. Don't never do physical activity. So with this condition, I think there will be a lot of comorbidities with this type of person, like hypertension, obesity, blood glucose, because they never do any assessment. I guess I'm not sure, but referring to the comorbidity is give that their health status are not the same with recreational athlete, that person who are engaged with a normal healthy lifestyle. So you need to consider that, because it's going to put a risk to the person when they do any physical activity, especially strenuous intensity of exercise. Then last one is you need to consider also the availability of equipment, but this doesn't give any excuse. You can saying that you cannot do the exercise program. Remember one thing: exercise are cheap, exercise are simple, exercise can we can do exercise anywhere, anytime. For example, like weight bearing exercise is considered cheap because you don't have to use a lot of equipment. You can do a lot of muscular endurance exercise. So that's the point I try to bring. It doesn't mean that you don't have availability equipment in that particular area, like gymnasium and so on. It doesn't mean that you cannot do exercise. You need to be creative enough to to consider all these things. If let's say there's no gym here, but you have a league garden, so you can do a lot of calisthenic exercise. You can do a lot of body weight exercise, like push up, chin up, and so on. Same if you are bringing, let's say, home office exercise. Let's say someone who are busy with the meetings, your client asking about the exercise. So you can do exercise in a very confined space, like static exercise, static squat, static lunges. So you need to be creative, but you need to consider at the same time what available equipment that you have. Try to be very flexible to be when you become trainers, because it's going to help you to know how you can helping people to do exercise. Okay. Basic components in the exercise training session. This is so critical. Okay. Exercise should cover at least you must have at least a warm-up phase, okay, about 5 to 10 minutes, and conditioning, which is the central part of your exercise, cooling down 5 to 10 minutes, last will be stretching. So let me go through one by one. Okay, the first, you will see that on the warm-up phase, sorry, maybe I have moved, sorry, okay. Sorry guys. Okay, let's take a look about warm-up. So warm-up here is not about preventing injury, okay? You cannot prevent someone to get injured, but you can basically plan a proper and safe exercise. But warm-up doesn't play a role much on that. But warm-up will help the person to gradually preparing to do intensity or physical activity that they're not used to be. Okay, meaning that it will help the body to prepare. Okay, now I'm doing some physical exercise, so I will gradually increase the intensity of the exercise. So the body will start preparing. Okay, let's gradually start jumps to the exercise. I give example, like this is not a nice example, but I just want to make you understand. If you have a car and then in the early of the morning, or if you have motorbike or motorcycles in the early of the morning, you don't do any warm up to your engine, and then you start, and then immediately you move. So it's good. Yeah, you can be quick, but sometimes it's not good for the engine. Meaning that the engine should have some warm up So then in preparing some elements or mechanical of the engines uh, to gradually increase the temperature, so then they can become more smooth, they reduce wear and tear. So it's the same with the body condition. The reason of warm up basically to prepare, you know, your body awareness about the exercise, to prepare that safety in terms of you don't get sudden attack because of the high intensity that you jump or high loading of the resistance towards the muscle. So warm up is much more, you know, gradually to introduce to the person about, okay, we are going to do this physical strenuous exercise. Then you can gradually change, you know, transition to conditioning. The conditioning should be mixed between what is the objective. So I mentioned this, you must have a plan on the exercise. So if your objective is focusing on cardiovascular, so there will be a main focus duration that you want to do. So there are many general guidelines you can follow if you focus on aerobic, but if you focus on neuromuscular or sport activity or something you're talking for muscle hypertrophy, then the phase of duration should be 20 to 60 minutes. This is guideline by ACSM. You shouldn't plan any exercise beyond than 1 hour because our body have limitation. Do not do something exercise. You're exceeding the threshold of the body, uh, which is with tendency to have more injuries, or not just injury. It's not good for the body because you know, human is not robot, so they have emotion, you know, psychological aspect that could influence them to do the next exercise. If you do exercise something that's so boring for more than 60 minutes, the human cannot bear with that. So every time you come to the exercise, you exceeding more than 1 hour exercise. So the process of wear and tear will happen into your joint and the muscle. So you have no time. Maybe I'm not sure. More than 60 minutes should be, you know, it's too much. For me, they put a lot of loading to the muscles, including your heart. So the recovery will be delayed, I think. So that's why psychological aspect will play a role here. When you face a lot of high intensity, long duration, you feel boring. I give you an example. Like, let's say you ask someone to walk on the treadmill for 60 minutes, every session that you want. I think more than 60 minutes, you ask them to do every day. After 5 times session with you in week or maybe two weeks or maybe a month, they won't come back. Which is, I think that is not appropriate objective that you want to to help person to do exercise. You know, because exercise is not like muscle, which is very nice. Longer time of massage, you feel much better. But this time is talking about physical activity. You know, you move your muscles, you sweat a lot, so you will be you can feel you know, thirsty. So I believe that more than 1 hour, because of your sodiums, your what else, all your body physiological changes will drops because of depletion of, of of many things, including your water retention and so on. So you feel lethargic, so you know, and then tomorrow and then you do the same thing. So I think 20 more than 60 minutes as advised by ACSM are not recommended for one session. So it should be within 20 to 60 minutes. Why 20? Of course, in terms of cardiovascular, 20 will have a minimum duration when you want to have at least some you know, normal benefit on the cardiovascular fitness, especially on LSD, a long slow distance exercise. But it's not talking about burning fat or burning calories, just for cardiovascular fitness, at least minimum of 20 minutes. Okay. After that, you have 5 to 10 minutes for cooling down. Cooling down is make sure that you want to remove the waste product like lactic acid. And stretching will help you to, the muscles are not holding a lot of waste product, so then you can actually shorter the muscle soreness, or they call delay onset muscle soreness, DOMS. So your recuperation process will become more faster. So that is all about, you know, you can see, if you sum up, warm up, conditioning, cool down, and stretching, it will, I think, maximally maybe 1 hour, 10 minutes. Maybe the 10-minute is for cooling down and stretching because it's very low intensity. Okay. So what should we entail principle in a conditioning phase? I believe that you learn this with other subject. You know that the FIT principles, FIT is frequency, I is intensity, T is time, and another T is type. So this is what you should entail in designing your conditioning session with your client. What is that? F, how much? We're talking about how much that the person should do. It depends on type of activity as well. So let's say you choose cardiovascular endurance exercise, meaning it's talking about jogging, walking, cycling, running, swimming. So you think how much or how frequent the person has to do the exercise. So it could be 3 times a week, it could be or just once in a week. Is it talking about every day in week, no rest? Because it will links to the concept of dose response relationship. Because sometimes you need to play around with this. It doesn't mean that you do more is better or you do less is good. So you should play around in the middles, okay? As a concept in Islam, moderation is important. So you can play around the concept in exercise as well, because the frequency here doesn't give much information. If you do less, if you do more, will be benefit than do less. So it should be in the middle, okay? But remember one thing, certainly if you do exercise or physical activity, it's much better than you are not doing anything. So the frequency here, like referring in ACSM tables, this is something talking about general guideline for healthy adults. We're not talking about cardiovascular disease population or metabolic disease population or high risk population. We're talking about low risk or healthy adults. This is the frequency referring to weekly. What frequency that the person should do at least to define them as healthy, okay? Not healthy, sorry, follow the recommendation by ACSM. You can see that in the table, at least 5 days a week, at least 3 days a week, 3 to 5 days a week, 2 to 3 days a week. So they have a range of recommendation, range number of recommendation. So you need to choose. It depends, again, then you need to play around with your clients' timetables or clients' availability. So this is important. I know that you have also limitation, but the most important, your client is the best customers for you. So you need to know what is the best and suit for them. So that's why ACSM come up with this range numbers of recommendation. So you need to follow either one. There's no harm. You can choose. You need to choose the top is better than second. No, it gives you option that if you find the way that this time is more effective, according to your client availability, then you can follow. For example, at least 5 days a week. So meaning that the person, what are the type of exercise they have to do is moderate intensity of aerobic and weight exercise or flexibility exercise. If they want to do every day, 5 days in weekdays and rest during weekend, okay? But moderate intensity here is 40%. How to calculate this 40%? I think you know that it's not so difficult. If you like 220 minus by your age and then you times by 40%. So meaning that the activity of moderate intensity here could be like LSD, okay, for cardiovascular exercise. LSD, like, long, slow, distant running with 40% of the intensity. It's not so difficult to do, so you can do that every day. So, but it can be, you can change. It depends on whether you have free time or not. Let's say you feel like the client have a very tight schedule on that particular month. So from 5 days, every days in weekdays, you change to at least 3 days a week because they're busy with meetings. Okay, so you need to play around and juggle around with the timetable of your client. So you can choose. Now this time we slightly change them. Vigorous intensity, okay, which is more than 60%. At least minimum of 60% of aerobic activity, weight bearing exercise, and flexibility exercise. So referring to vigorous intensity here is at least 60%, of aerobic activity. So yeah, I think it's not also, you can do like interval training if you want, but you need to monitor with your heart rate. So how to measure this? You need to educate your client how can they do or themselves, or maybe the first session you explain to them how to do a simple way of checking exercise heart rate, and then they can just, now we have technology like heart rate monitor in the watch, and then the phone, they can use that. But the guideline here is the heart rate. So the heart rate will give you indication whether you achieve the vigorous intensity or not. Okay. Number 2 is 3 to 5 times a day. So meaning that a combination between moderate and vigorous. So you can choose either you want to do. I give example like what I used to do is I do alternate day. Monday rest, and then Wednesday rest, and Friday. But if I feel that my Saturday is I have to do a lot of physical things like cleaning house and so on, so I will cut it into Monday rest and Wednesday and Thursday. Okay, so I will do combination of exercise. So for aerobic training, I can maybe Monday I start with LSD, and then, or maybe I can swap. Monday I do with high vigorous interval training, like not high vigorous. Vigorous intensity like interval training. 1 minute run, 1 minute jog, 1 minute walk, 1 minute run, 1 minute walk. So that is considered as vigorous to me because my age. Then I rest because I do vigorous, so I need to have recuperation phase. So the next day I will rest, and then Wednesday I start with LSD, combined with some body weight exercise, and then Thursday I will do some resistance exercise. So that is what meaning by combination, okay, between moderate and vigorous. So if you find that is 2 to 3 days a week, okay, the 3 to 5 days is combination as well. So I think explanation that given by ACSM is very, very lenient and flexible. So you need to know how can you shape this so then your client do not feel boring, because your client are not like you, because they have a lot of hectic lifestyle. I believe that some of them, if you are working in the gym, usually gym are centered in the city, so a lot of your client are coming from background with office work. So office work, they have a lot of meetings, series of meetings, so this very, very stressed. So it's quite dangerous if you do not know how to plan properly, because people who are coming to your gym and they are not enough rest and they're stressed. So you need to play around how to do with exercise. So meaning that you cannot just put very intensive exercise and then continue this for a month. I think it's not very pragmatic. It depends on how you shape your client, okay? According to what your client condition on that particular time. However, as a summary, talking about frequency, okay? So the most important here, what at least you need to achieve this. Moderate intensity aerobic exercise, at least for 5 days a week, or vigorous intensity aerobic exercise done at least 3 days a week, or weekly combination of 3 to 5 days a week. Moderate and vigorous exercise is recommended for the majority adults to achieve and maintain health fitness benefit. I give you a simple formula. You can rest, cheat day or whatsoever during weekend. Weekend should be a rest day for me. I used to do that. So my weekdays, I will try to integrate my fitness programs along with my working schedule. So meaning that I don't put myself after 5, I still in the office. I try to change that culture since when I live in abroad. I see a lot of these well-developed country peoples like Australia, some Europeans. At 5, they all go home. It's not for sleeping, but they go for activities like recreation, outdoor exercise, and many more. So they try to integrate the healthy living as part of their lifestyle. Intensity will give whether your training program effective or not. Because if you do same exercise without put more progressive intense or load, I think your outcome will not improve, especially in your fitness outcome like your muscular strength, muscular endurance. So you need to know how to help your clients to progress their intensity, but it doesn't mean you have to progress all the time. I believe that you learn this with other subject about the progression. Progression means step by step. So you need to increase intensity. I give you another example. If you go to gym, I lifted dumbbells like 5 kilos for first week, and then the second week I think 5 kilos still I still can have some pressure or some load on the dumbbell. But after 2 weeks, I noticed that it's going to be very light for me, meaning that the body is adapting very well on the weight. Then we need to increase the intensity by increasing the weight or increasing the reps or increasing the set. That's what meaning. So intensity is intangible. Intangibly with with many things that you can play with loads, with heart rate, with sets, with reps, with type of exercise, different modification of exercise, and many more. So intensity is important because it will tell the body to adapt and improve. Okay, so that's why moderate intensity can be recommended minimum to achieve health fitness benefit, and a combination of moderate and vigorous intensity is ideal. You see, a combination between moderate and vigorous, because it will improve not just physiological changes, but the most importantly, the mood of the person. If you do something that's the same, I think the person will feel bored. I give an example, like if we eat every day nasi goreng every day, I think even though the nasi goreng is so nice to you, in the first day, after first week and second weeks, I think you're going to feel tasteless, because there will be no modification, no differences. So you need to put some change or variation. Although the topic here, intensity, is not talking about variation, but as I said here earlier, the variation, intensity, frequency is interchangeable variables. They are not independent. They are crossover, overlaps. They can influence each other. So do not put yourself to understand this concept like independent variables. No, they are interchangeable, depend on how you play around with this. But the idea here, the intensity, is to help yield a positive continuous outcome on the health or fitness of the person. All right. So, how to quantify your exercise intensity? I think they have a lot of here, but as simple as that, your heart rate. That's why the heart rate is important, because although heart rate is relative, but it helps the person to know. We are talking here about general or healthy population. We're not talking about disease population who need like rate perceived exertion, But I would suggest that from all of this, maybe you can follow the percentage age predicted heart rate. That could be the most simple, cheap, and everyone can do. So very convenient. How to do that? Let's say you set 80% or 60%, you times with age. What is your age? Let's say your age 30 years old, minus with predicted heart rate. So 220 minus by age and times with percentage of the intensity, and you will get the values. As simple as that. You know why heart rate is important? Because heart rate, they have a positive relationship with your VO2 max. What is VO2 max? If you know VO2 max is talking about your heart condition, your heart fitness, your heart endurance, where your heart endurance can be quantified with VO2 max, the volume oxygen maximum consumption. If you want to know whether the condition of the heart is healthy or not, we need to know the outcome where you can quantify it. So if you want to know the outcome of the heart, it's simple as that. We are using VO2 max, okay? Because VO2 max will tell us that about the heart function, whether the heart function working in an effective way or efficiently when distribute all the the blood oxygens to the whole organ of the body. So if you have higher VO2 max, meaning that your heart condition or your heart function are very good. So you can see that in the graph here, heart rate is actually have a strong relationship with your VO2 max, okay? So you can see that if your heart rate increase, okay, your VO2 will increase as well. It's not so meaning that it gives information that when you do exercise, okay, when you do exercise, definitely you will put progressive intensity to your heart, okay. So when you put some progressive intensity to your heart is actually the muscles. So muscles are having an adaptation to contract a lot of blood through process of cardiac output and also stroke volume. So this is considered the muscle are working like it doesn't mean like concentric or eccentric, but the heart muscles are pumping strongly the organ of the heart. So the organ of heart is muscle that cover all the layer of the of your heart, will improve the function, So meaning that if you increase the intensity, which will increase your heart rate as well, so it will increase your VO2, okay, when you do exercise. That is good about naturally do exercise. So you don't, heart is about muscle. So meaning that you have to do exercise to improve the heart muscles. Okay, there is no other way. There is no medicines. There is no supplements. If you eat this supplement, your heart will automatically increase. No. Okay. So meaning that I'm not talking about disease population. I'm talking about healthy adults. So meaning that someone who healthy, if you want to improve your heart function or capacity, to exercise. By increasing heart rate, progressive heart rate during exercise, it will improve the VO2 of the heart. Okay. Summary method to prescribing exercise intensity. So I think you can check this in the book. As I mentioned earlier, how to predict the maximal heart rate. Formula of basically your age, and then there is a formula there. Metabolic calculation, estimation for VO2 max. This is another way how to calculate, but I think to calculate this, there is some formulas to do, and then depend on the activity that you want to do. So I think you learn this with other subjects, especially in exercise physiology class. I will skip this. Okay, So intensity, as I mentioned earlier, they are preferred primary method, especially heart rate reserve or VO2 reserve. But I think more pragmatic way when you want to do exercise for your clients, you can do this like percentage age predicted heart rate maximum, which is the 220 minus by age, and then what is the intensity target according to the ACSM. Then you just multiply that. As simple as that. Okay. Another tools or another measure for intensity, you can use rate per position. Okay, Omni is more uh, for lifting the weight. Okay, okay, let's go to the summary. So combination of moderate and vigorous intensity exercise is recommended for most adults. So that is for sure. You can play around with that. Exercise intensity may be estimated using all those methods. There is no standard way to say that this one is better than another one. No, it depends on the situation that you have that time, that particular time. If you are in the lab, yeah, you can do so many formula there for your heart rate intensity, but it depends if you feel more pragmatic during exercise at Lake Garden. So I think you can just go with a simple way. Okay. Okay, the next will be the duration or time. What is this? It's referring to the amount of time physical activity is performed, which referring how much the total calorie will be expensed during the exercise, meaning that how much calorie will burning during the exercise. So it depends on whether the activity could be continuous or interval or intermittent, interval. So dose response relationship between total calorie per week that benefit the health and fitness of the individuals. This is referring to the guideline, okay? The recommended minimum is 1000 kilocalorie per week. Calorie per week. How to get this in terms of duration? What you can see, they have a simple conversion by ACSM, which is 150 minutes per week. Okay, the person has to complete on aerobic exercise. So then they can actually burning the calorie like 1000. 150 minutes, if you just simple calculation, how can we achieve 150 minutes per week? So you have 7 days a week. So if one day, let's say Monday, you go for 30 minutes. Okay, if you do every day until Friday, 30 times 5, so you get 150 minutes. So you already achieve the recommended duration by the ACSM. So if you do less, meaning that you will burning less calorie on that week. Okay, walking distance, steps, okay, walking steps. Also another method that used to calculate the total calorie. They use speedometers. So now you can see the phone, they have their own pedometers, and then sometimes they put in the shoes so they can calculate how many steps basically the person has been performed. So at least about 3,000 to 4,000 steps per day for them to burn at least the calorie minimum. Okay. However, there is no standard research guideline to say that the maximum safe quantity of exercise, meaning that how more exercise is safe for the person fitness or cardiovascular fitness, because there is no research talking about that yet. because I noticed that like a footballer who are running every day, they have training every day, meaning that they have more set of duration covered in week, but some of them are also having uh, health and heart condition problems. But that will be a different case. So, but so far, there is no, as I said, maximum safe quantity of exercise about that yet. Okay. So you can follow about 30 minutes a week, 30 minutes a day, and then you cover 5 days a week. So you get at least 150 minutes per week. Or if you feel that it's too much, you can do 20 minutes 3 days a week with vigorous intensity. How you define this vigorous intensity? Uh, you can check back the intensity notes, how we define them as a vigorous intensity, at least 20 to 30%. Okay, sorry, at least to 20 to 30, or at least 20 to 30 minutes on 5 to 5 days a week of moderate and which is combination to promote and maintain weight loss. So if you want to have more what do you call it, lose weight, you can go beyond than 30 minutes, 50 to at least to 60 minutes, which is 1 hour daily exercise per session, to total 300 minutes moderate and 150 minutes vigorous or equivalence combination. So what I want to tell you here, the duration here will give you some information that if you want to burn more calorie, then you can extend your longer duration. But if you want to burn less calorie, but you want to have at least health benefits on your cardiovascular fitness, then you can just follow the guideline like 30 minutes for 5 days a week at moderate intensity. So you can play around with this, depend on what the client's goals. Okay. So last one is a type. Exercise should be rhythmic. Rhythmic means there is more on rhythmic fashion. Okay, meaning that something that you perform in a rhythmic motion. Okay, which is more muscles will involve. Shouldn't be only in lower limbs. Should be the whole body systems. More aerobic. Okay, aerobic type. Use big muscles. So people always asking me about what type of exercise that good for burning fat, especially lose weight. Okay, burning fat in losing weight. People saying that I don't like jogging, but I prefer to bicycles because I can bike about 100 meter distance. Okay, but remember one thing: although you go with the distance, okay, this is simple comparison. If you like bicycles, you can go with 4 hours from here to Johor, for instance. You are for 6 hours. You go longer. Yeah. That is formula saying that longer duration. But remember one thing: bicycle is just focusing a rhythmic exercise on lower limb. So the benefit will goes more on the lower limb muscles for tonings or losing weights. But for the upper body, it doesn't give effective much. So that's why we recommend, according to HSM, rhythmic here talking about combination between upper, lower, frontal, back muscles, abdomen, whole body muscles, okay, are moving in one fashion, like jogging, running, something like swimming, which is very, very good type of exercise. So in the table here, you can see a lot of clear example. I will share this slide in the group, so then you can take a look. So Also in these tables is recommended by the SCSM about all the fit principles, so that you can use that for your guideline where you want to design program for the client. Okay. All right. Let's take a break now. We will continue back.